give us a little idea, because right now, most people who are hip of what's going on, they're understanding that we are going into this transhumanism, and that this nanotechnology is real. People now are starting to get a taste of it on a mass level when they're realizing paper clips are sticking to their arms, and now that they're saying this is nanotechnology. Even Dr. Reagan from the Mayo Clinic saying we are using nanotechnology and particles. So this is this is actually happening. Now, they've had that experience before. Perhaps you could share with us what you believe, how this nanotechnology, this microscopic atomic level technology has been leveled up and advanced to the point where for these people who are getting this technology embedded, and even others, I guess, you could share your thoughts on that, how their experiences will be. How will they start losing control of their own choices and decisions?
Right. Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, to me, this toxic cocktail that they're putting in people's bodies is only one kind of the next level of what they've been doing for decades with chemtrails and other vaccines. Pushing the flu shot every year. It's encroached its way into our food source. It's in our food. It's in our air. It's in our water. So my opinion from understanding the people that I grew up with is that they don't come at something one time or from one angle. They come from a whole bunch of different angles, and it's always layered. And to me, that's what this toxic cocktail, I almost refuse to call it a vaccine.
It isn't.
Right? That's the next level. It's another level. I don't know what all they've got planned, but it's another level. So nanotech is in our bodies, all of our bodies. We've breathed it in, we've eaten it, we've drank it. If you have a little microscope, you could probably find a fiber sitting on top of your arm. And, everybody can, on your clothing and in your house. We've been inundated with it. What I would say is not only the things I spoke about as an MKUltra slave, but consciousness. I think this is where they're really headed, is to take over, wipe out the consciousness of humanity, the spirit of humanity, the true free will of humanity. And what I see taking place, as so many of us do, and of course, from my perspective and my life, I see it as mind control, is that people out there are not thinking for themselves. They're following narratives that, without question, many people are also waking up. So I think the big goal of this, yes, they can enhance or dull certain abilities. They can make you sick. They can make you well. They can make you strong. They can make you weak. But I think ultimately we're talking about taking over the mind, taking over the free will.
So do you predict people start hearing voices? Because we're getting some anecdotal stories of people hearing music and there's no music being played anywhere. There are
This is interesting because that's really what you've heard of the targeted individual community.
Yes.
I'm the MKUltra. Well, the targeted individual community is the next level of MKUltra. I mean, it's on a massive scale. And they've been experimenting on these people for decades now. And now it's moving into, my opinion is it's moving into en masse, as I call it. It's moving into en masse. It's becoming a global. So the increments, my looking at it from my perspective, the increments of the technology are everything's getting smaller, faster, and broader. So in other words, it's smaller. You can't see it. It works faster. They don't have to do what they did to me anymore. They can just pick somebody out, and you're already an antenna. You've already been loaded. You've already been loaded up. And so it's a much quicker process for them.
And it's minus the trauma-based mind control, the torture of all that too, which unfortunately you and millions of others had to go through. So I guess on one level, this higher technology, people avoid that scenario. However, now you're looking at a mass level of cyborg-like type of control.
And if they don't know about this, when that voice comes in, or something bizarre is crawling, you feel crawling in your body, that's one of the main first symptoms. You'll feel the fibers moving around in your body. Ugh. It's a creepy crawly thing under the skin. But I mean, if you don't know what's going on, you are going to attribute this to something else. And if you're going to a doctor or a psychiatrist who is not on board, you're going to be medicated, which feeds big pharma. Yep. Which feeds the control mechanism. So yeah, it's scary that it's not out there enough yet, but it's happening. I think what we would call the normal people who just live their wonderful everyday lives, who have gotten vaccinated or know someone who's gotten vaccinated, are starting to ask the question, what the is going on? Right. That's the breaking of the reality for them. Is the chink in it.
So what's so disturbing about this is, and I'm so glad you mentioned that you're even talking about this, because if people, like you said, don't hear what you're saying, they're going to attribute to, like, oh my God, I think I'm going crazy, and not realizing that this is a conspiratory, horrific, laid out plan to control you and make decisions for you. And so, as people are going on this mass level, is there somehow a hive mentality that's being connected between different people on a, almost like naturally there's a telepathy between humans when they really study that, but yet we're talking on a technological level. Is that one of the goals, is to connect people on more of a hive perspective if there's a two-way transmission going on with your controller?
Absolutely. And I saw the public version of this through what was called the Super Soldier Program. And this was years ago when all these young people came forward with these stories of being super soldiers, and they were all psychic and they were giving readings. And this isn't genuine clairvoyance. This is BCI. This is brain computer interface. That's what we're looking at. And I have had in deep deprogramming very clear, once I lost all the fear, I became an observer. And I had some profound experiences. And one of them was that I was at one time hooked in with 5 men. We were a group. And after that, I had what I call a reverse hack to my Dr. Duncan. Dr. Robert Duncan calls them psychic warriors. Those are the people that are sitting at a system hooked up to you. It's your counterpart in some facility somewhere. And I actually had, Tim, a reverse hack one night where he was hooked up. There was this huge monitor. It wasn't like our computers. It was something completely. I figured out later, it was a readout of what was happening between us. It was a graph that was moving really fast from left to right. And I saw through him for about 2 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was during a time when they were experimenting with tapping me, and I knew what the scenario was. As I was getting ready to go to sleep, I got used to seeing what the scenario was on occasion. And I would even say to them, what are we doing tonight? And this one night, this interaction happened, and I got that 2-second view through him. And I read later, someone talked about that they're trying to work out the kinks because they don't want it to be able to be reversed from the victim through to the perpetrator. So
incredible. And that was then, and think what the technology advancement is today.
That was only probably about 6 years ago.
Oh, wow. So
in deep deprogramming, I became very aware of what they were doing. And so I began to observe, write it all down, and share it with people. From a very I just disconnected from all the emotional part of it. I wasn't afraid anymore. I became the watcher. And I'm just going to read a little list, the various things you can be tapped on. And I experienced this very clearly one night. I was very aware that they turned on the video, like video audio through my eyes, real time. So in other words, they're tapping in through my brainwave frequencies. It's going to a computer. This is in split second speed of light time. And they're real time looking at what I'm looking at and hearing what I'm hearing. And I remember sitting up in bed and I just felt something in my mind's eye. And we scanned the room and then it was off. And it was just like, okay, there it is. That's one of the
become the camera. You are the recorder.
Well, I was for many years, because when I first woke up in 2008, 2009, when I spoke to the guys that I spoke to that helped me out, the first thing I said to them was, just assume everything we're doing here is being recorded. And I said, I know that sounds crazy. And they laughed and they said, no, it doesn't. So
it sounds so fantastic, honestly, Elisa, that it almost reminds me of the aspect in the movie The Matrix when Mr. Smith was able to jump from one human to the next human to transpose into them. It's almost like they're going to utilize on this mass level humans to move their agenda, whatever it may be. So 2 last questions here. I know we got to get going here, but what are some examples that you can see that they'll be able to potentially do now with this nanotechnology in many of these humans, many of us? How they will utilize us going forward? For what purposes?
I really think the main push is they're going to take away the ability to critically think, to connect spiritually, so that we become more and more entrenched than we already are, if you can imagine, in the material, physical, as opposed to being able to connect to God or whatever you refer to as God. And I will tell you, Tim, flat out that yes, you need to take care of your health and rest and eat properly, watch the foods you eat, get exercise. But the thing that works here, and the only thing that ultimately empowered me, was my connection to Christ. And I got to that. I tried everything, and I take really good care of myself physically as best that I can. But the inner life is the only solution now. I know how that must sound, but it truly is the only genuine protection, because they are bigger, badder, stronger, and they always will be until that shift into the spirit for numerous amounts of us happens. They lose all that power, because everything they do is in lies, deception, and shadow. If you don't know your enemy, I've said this on the last shows, if you don't know your enemy, how on earth do you think you're going to overpower them or rise above them? We must educate ourselves on all of it, as painful as it is, because ultimately when you come through that, you are truly empowered.
There you hear it, guys, from high-level MK Ultra survivor Elisa E., and author. Incredible information. Thank God you're out here sharing this information now, Elisa, and we'll have you back on. We need to have you back on for a much longer period of time to be able to get more deeper into some of the things that to help humanity as they experience this effect of the nanotechnology and the potential remote controlling and handling of people and their decisions. We need to have more people like you who have been there, who could give us advice and walk us through this and focus on what we can do. As you said, it's an inside job. Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you for what you guys do. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. High-level MK Ultra survivor Elisa E., who was just here, and high-level means she's of the bloodline of the Satanic Cabal, a victim though, and I interviewed her also many years ago for a series on MK Ultra, which you can check out on our website, uimedianetwork.org, and look under Frequency Wars. I think there was 2 shows. One was The Lost Souls of Hollywood, and the other Sex Assassin Elisa E. MK Ultra. Here is a clip of one of them. She discusses nanotechnology back then, and still many were not listening.
Well, I think it's possible, but I also have gotten ample evidence that, and this is something they can do to anybody on the street. They can create hallucinations at any moment.
Right.
Anywhere, anytime. As long as they have the brainwave activity mapped out, the neural system mapped out, they can go in anytime, anywhere. So I suspect that a lot of early on, there was a lot of physical interaction and things needed to be present on occasion. But since I'm dealing with remote, at least from the 70s, I suspect a lot of this could have been done right into the mind.
Right.
And it's real. Let me tell you, when they do it, it's tangible for you. It's real.
But
visceral.
But do they have to have previous programming for it to be effective, and of course the chips technology put in, or can they now do it remotely with the cell towers and the metals in the air?
Oh yeah, no. Implants, as we think of them, RFIDs and so forth, those have been obsolete for decades. They're still there in many people, especially older models. And if you want to make the public believe they're required, then you can bring out that, people have implants. But the truth is, we're talking nanotech that's been dropped from the skies for 40, 50 years.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, that's just wrong on all levels. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
But back to your kill.
So I was claiming in early years, very early years, I was claiming nanobots, and people thought I was nuts.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And now it's like all over the place. It's out there.
Sure.
And some friends have come back and said, here you go. Here's the science article about what you were claiming.
Sure.
That made me sound crazy.
No, yeah. And it's coming full circle now, and there's a certain amount of appreciation of it now.
40 to 50 years we have been under this siege of nanotechnology from the sky? It's hard to believe. When you take into account our immunity that has been under attack for that long, as well as the attention deficit epidemic, perhaps connecting the dots is not so hard to do. So what is MK Ultra, which is code for Operation Paperclip?
Nazi scientists, some of them tied to war crimes, including horrific concentration camp experiments, brought to the U.S. in a secret program to advance American security interests during the Cold War. It sounds like the plot of a film drama, but it actually happened, and on a large scale. The story is told in the new book, Operation Paperclip. Author and journalist Annie Jacobsen joins us now. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
So